Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bailey.
And I'm Raquel.
And this is the Whole Shebang podcast. Hi, guys, and welcome back to episode 27, or episode 1 of season 2 of the Whole Shebang podcast.
Are you going to do that every episode where you give it 2 different numbers? Because that's going to get real confusing.
No, after this, I will be going like episode 2, season 2.
Oh, we're numbering it that way, but I've numbered it the other.
That's your problem, not mine.
Now I have to change all of our advertising.
Fine. This is episode 27.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And so welcome back. And our first podcast episode of the year and video recording podcast of the year is going to be us reading fan fiction.
Well, is it fan fiction though? So I've been struggling with this. So fan fiction is when you write about a story that's already existed.
Very true.
So is it fan fiction? I mean, we are a story that exists.
It's our own fan fiction?
I guess it's Whole Shebang fan fiction, but we don't really do. I mean, I can throw a podcast into mine if you want us to do a podcast.
It's a type of story involving us. We do read fan fiction. Regular type of fan
fiction.
Give us
your opinions. Is this fan fiction? I don't think so. But maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know. What is fan fiction?
We're getting philosophical with what is fan fiction.
We do that.
We do. But today we have both written stories involving each other that we have not heard yet.
Why are we doing this?
Because it was fun.
Because it was fun. I also, in my list of things that I thought we should talk about, because we're trying to be better about being planned, it's not happening, everybody.
Yeah.
So enjoy this while it lasts. But I thought it would be a good idea to talk about our history with creative writing or writing in general.
Yeah, that's fair. So I wrote stories all the time as a kid, and then in high school, I was in the advanced writing and creative writing classes.
Ooh, fancy. Oh, wait, I was in those too.
You were? Who would have guessed?
Oh, we had classes together in high school.
The same high school.
Oh, wow. So old.
Boy. But that is kind of where we went. And I write still on and off.
Yeah?
Mostly off.
Mostly off.
But I do enjoy writing, especially stories like the ones we have written for today.
And you've written some interesting fan fiction and given up after 3 chapters?
Yes.
Or was it 4 chapters?
And if you want to read it, you can. I will not tell you what I've written, but
it involves the Owl House.
You will have to dive deep in and go into a very niche type of
involves
no
providing me with weird ads on Facebook after I read it.
Yeah. I think they've just went away for me since I've switched my phone.
I will make it better by talking about my fan fiction, which you don't know about.
No, I don't.
So I've written Harry Potter fan fiction in high school, and it is available on the internet. And it's not finished, and it never will be. And it is about Voldemort. Because, villains. I've also, sorry, Judy, been writing a fanfiction, Avatar The Last Airbender, for Judy that has taken over a decade and is over 600 pages worth of fanfiction, which Bailey has heard all of, and she can attest to how cringy it gets.
It's dedication.
It's cringy. As in terms of creative writing, I also did creative writing in university. Which was mostly just writing poems because I didn't have time to write entire short stories. I don't know who has time to write entire short stories every single week to share with the class, but there are people who did that, and I am impressed. I am not one of those people, so I got really into weird poetry, and I think the favorite of mine that maybe I'll read one day to humiliate myself on this podcast is about a worm dying on the ground.
Fascinating.
Thank you. Yes, it was very dark. Very dark.
Sounds very dark.
My prof loved it. I don't know. I thought it was terrible. Otherwise, I write academically, but that's very different.
It is very different. So, should we get to reading these things?
Do you want me to read this horribleness that I have not read back, so I cannot attest for any of this? But For some context, I wrote this in 2 days when we were going to record earlier and then panicked because I hadn't written anything, and it's now over 10 pages typed long. Sorry. Nothing's going to happen. It's not exciting.
Okay, I'm interested to hear it. Okay, start.
Okay. So my story is called Bailey the Magical Dragon and the Girl Who Cleaned. And you can tell who's who. Oh dear. It's already bad. Once upon a time, in a faraway place, lived a mighty dragon with scales the color of blazing red and shimmery gold. Your favorite colors.
Thank you.
This dragon was called Bailey.
Majestic.
Oh, you have a full title. Just wait, it's coming. Bailey lived for hundreds of years on her own. Dragons are not social creatures.
We're not.
Reigning over an enchanted forest that crept up the side of her marvelous mountain range, where she made her home in a cozy cave away from the hubbub below. I used that word because you used that word. A small river separated the enchanted forest from a lush field of swishy golden grasses. Bailey preferred to hunt away from her immediate territory, more to the west where there were herds of tasty animals. Mostly gazelle. I don't know why. I think you would eat gazelle.
I like their horns.
Because of this, she rarely noticed the happenings in the forest or below her mountains. This is why it took Bailey far longer than it should have for her to notice the weird structures appearing in the fields and the channels that began offshooting from the river. One day, as she was flying home from a successful hunt, see, I'm being nice to you.
You are.
She swooped closer to the field than she had in years, deciding to take the scenic route home for a change. This is when she noticed them, the weird creatures who started to call her fields home. First, she noticed the smoke coming from the ground, then the weird square structures in a walled settlement. Lastly, as she drew closer, she heard the screams. Screams coming from the ground in what Bailey recognized as the human language. Dragon! The humans were scuttling around the enclosed settlement. Children are crying, men cowering, women protecting their homes, as it should be, with their little pitchforks. Bailey chuckled to herself in amusement, as she is right now. Humans were entertaining creatures to her. She landed outside the settlement and spoke in a booming voice that carried across the lands. I will not harm you. Please put down your weapons. They seemed hesitant to do as she asked. Who is the human in charge? She demanded. An elderly and frail man with long white beard and hair swept shakily forward. I am, he said in a mumble, leaning with a stick to hold himself up. Then it is you I shall make a pact with. Just jumping right into the deals, Bailey declared, amused by all the other humans peering at her below with their tiny weapons. A pact? He stuttered in confusion. The others began to murmur. That's right. I believe all living things should be allowed to safely live in my domain, and so I shall make you a vow. She lowered her head towards the human. I shall leave you and your settlement alone. I will even offer you protection as long as you meet my conditions. You may live on my land from here until the river, setting your boundaries, good. Do not enter the forest. You will perish there. On the first day of every new moon, you will leave an offering at the entrance of the forest. 5 plump sheep should do. If you do not meet my conditions, I will burn everything to the ground and eat you all.
I like that condition. I like that condition.
I think it's fair. 5 plump sheep is not a lot. It's extravagant, but it's not a ton.
It's fair. I'm being fair.
And you're not eating them, so they should just be happy. The humans all began to look between each other. Bailey watched them in silence, pleased by her own cunning idea. She hated the taste of humans anyway, and of course she would never eat such gross vile creatures. But a free meal every new moon was too hard to pass up on. See, now you're cunning. See, I hold you in such high regard. We agree to your terms, great dragon, the old man yelled to her and bowed. Very well, Bailey replied, stretching her wings and flying home. The humans took cover as she lifted herself above them. And then I do time skip. There's multiple time skips because otherwise this was going to be a whole novel of nothing.
No, wow.
Many years passed. The villagers maintained their promise and continued to provide Bailey with offerings every new moon. In return, Bailey left them alone in their portion of her land. Her nearby presence was enough to keep enemy humans away, and the village thrived. See, look at how nice you are to them. It was 200 years after the initial offering agreement. Yeah, you're old. On a cloudy night with a chilling wind, Bailey landed at the offering site to collect her dues. The humans had created a large metal bowl to place the offerings in. Over time, the bowl became more lavish and gold and silver decorations were added. The metal gleamed in the low firelight from a nearby torch that had been placed to mark the offerings were ready. Without looking, as she does, Bailey reached her front claw into the bowl and scooped up the offerings. She gripped them in her claw and took off towards her cave, just like she had every other time. She noticed the offerings felt slightly different than usual. She could feel the fluffiness of the sheep's wool, but there was something else, something she couldn't identify. She put the offerings in an enclosed rock formation near the mouth of her cave so the sheep wouldn't run away. And then she curled up for a night's sleep without looking. Clearly, you just forgot. When she awoke the next day, yawning and stretching, she felt a rumble in her stomach. She loved the morning after offering day. It meant she didn't need to hunt for breakfast. She went to where she had left the offerings, the wool of the sheep standing out against the smooth rock wall behind them. She grabbed one and ate it, feeling pleased with her easy meal. Just eating those sheep live. It was then that she remembered the weird feeling offering, and she heard the slightest whimper from the cavern floor. She peered down into her rock formation and saw a small wrapped package bound in a rope. She further noticed that there were 2 less sheep than usual. Okay, apparently you're not counting your sheep either. Whatever this offering was, the humans must have meant to replace the other sheep. She inspected it curiously. The package was shaking slightly, showing her that it was still alive. She gently used one claw to open it, and to her shock and surprise, a human rolled out. "Please don't eat me!" the human shuddered, trying to crawl as far away from Bailey as she could. "I don't eat humans," Bailey mused. The frightened human didn't look convinced. "The ancient stories say that if a dragon doesn't get her offerings, the kingdom will be destroyed and the dragon will eat all the people," the human stuttered, shaking more violently. "Stories are often exaggerated, especially when passed down with creatures with such short lifespans," Bailey chuckled. The human still looks unconvinced. "Are you yawning by my story?"
Dang. I'm very sleepy from having to deal with this girl already.
Yeah, that's me, by the way. "But do you want me to eat you?" Bailey asked curiously. The human looked appalled. "No, of course not." Bailey could tell the human was starting to relax a little. This is where you introduce yourself. She says, "I am Bailey the Magnificent, dragon keeper of this land, known as the Sky's Fire, who protects the great enchanted forest, secret keeper of the mountains of thunder, master of the sun's eternal blaze."
Wow.
"See, yeah, who are you?" she asked, while puffing out her chest to make herself look more impressive, which she was just doing. I'm Raquel. I don't have any flashy titles, just a poor girl who was picked as an offering." She shuddered again, still pressed as far away as she could against the wall of the cave. "Why would the humans give up one of their own as an offering?" Bailey asked, slightly confused. I think that's a fair question. Too many mouths to feed in the kingdom and not enough sheep," Raquel said, sounding a little rehearsed. "It's what they told me anyway." "I see." Bailey thoughtfully looked around. "Feel free to leave anytime." She turned away from the human and made room for her to flee. To her surprise, the human looked at her with confusion. "Oh, I suppose you can't fly down to the edge of the forest. I forgot how useless your human legs are." "Can you take me down the mountain?" Raquel asked thoughtfully. "If the kingdom is willing to offer me to a dragon as its lunch, I don't think it would be the safest for me to go back there exactly. Can we go a little further away?" And Bailey says, "I suppose I could do that, but not today. Today is my day of relaxation. Tomorrow, I will bring you somewhere far away from that human kingdom." Bailey yawns, settles into the floor of the cave, and says, "Try not to break anything while I sleep." as she yawns again.
It's because you keep saying yawn.
Yawn. And there's a little time skip. Bailey had slept for hours, which she clearly needs to do now. The new moon made her tired. It took her a few moments to remember that there was a human freely roaming around her home. She looks around and can't see her anywhere. Maybe the human left and tried to make it down the mountain itself. Not her problem anymore if that was the case. She heard a clanging noise coming from behind her in one of her caverns where she contained her treasures. What was that? She wondered. Bailey moves towards the cavern where the noise came from, and she can hear even more clanging as she draws nearer. When she poked her head into the doorway, the sight that met her made her skin crawl. What are you doing? She demanded. The human was sitting in a pile of treasures with 4 piles in front of her. Oh, you're awake, the human said, looking a bit guilty. I wanted to surprise you. As a thank you for not eating me, I decided to clean your home. I noticed all your treasure is unorganized, so that's what I've been doing. This whole story is just calling you out for your disorganization. It is organized, though, Bailey says stubbornly. I can find everything I want or need. Which is her argument, by the way. This is a real conversation.
I can.
The human Raquel shook her head. It isn't organized, though. Look, I'm putting all the gold into one cavern and all the jewels into another. What about the things that have jewels and gold? Bailey said rather smugly. Those obviously get their own room, Raquel said, as if that wasn't obvious. Do dragons not organize their stuff?
No.
We do, but treasure does not need to be organized. Yes, it does. Look, Raquel got up and dragged something from behind a pile of treasure. You have old animal bones just lying here with all of your gold. She dropped a pile of sheep bones at Bailey's feet. I had wondered where those went, Bailey said thoughtfully. The human gave her a knowing look, which she did not like. It doesn't matter. Don't touch my stuff. Your stuff is a mess. Raquel replied, looking at Bailey with a look of pity. Let me sort it out. No, Bailey said. Let's get you out of here, shall we? Bailey tried to steer the human away from her treasures. But I can make it nicer in here. A majestic dragon such as yourself should have a clean den. Bailey sighs. Fine, you have 1 day. She stormed away in a huff, and Raquel went back to sorting. And here I was gonna end it, and then I was like, this is a boring ending, so I kept going. We're not even halfway through yet.
Oh my god.
1 day turned into a week, which turned into 1 month. Raquel sorted all of Bailey's belongings and treasure, and Bailey provided food and water for her. Bailey wondered if she had adopted the human as a sort of pet. She hoped that wasn't the case. The human was demanding and stabbing. Raquel had quickly lost her fear of Bailey and acted like the master of the house, ordering Bailey around.
Here it comes.
1 day, Bailey was looking for a ruby she had gotten not too long ago. Today was the day she was visiting her dragon parents, every 100 years or so. And she wanted to show it off to them. No matter how hard she looked, she couldn't find it. She remembered putting it on top of a pile. But Raquel had clearly sorted out that pile, and now she couldn't find anything. Where is my ruby? She asked. Which one? Raquel asked her back, cleaning up the sheep bones from today's breakfast. The large one I got last week. I put it on top of the pile in the first room. You mean the room meant for gold? I moved it to the ruby room. Bailey sighed angrily, meandering further into her den, looking for her ruby, muttering under her breath in clear annoyance. When she looked into the room, her heart dropped. The room was full of rubies. Which one is the new one? She told Raquel. On top of the pile. Bailey looked at the top of the pile. There was a bunch of large rubies. None of them looked quite right. Raquel appeared beside her. It's that one there. She pointed at Bailey, squinted. Are you sure? Yes, of course I am. Raquel grabbed it and handed it to her. She took it reluctantly. I'll be away today. Don't do anything you're not supposed to, Bailey says, backing out of her den and spreading her wings to fly off. It had been a month of the human's constant nagging and complaining. She took off and flew through the skies towards her family home, ready for a much-needed break. This is very accurate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Very.
Her visit with her parents was uneventful. I was going to make that a full part of the story. I decided it wasn't worth it. They were impressed with her ruby.
Good.
And she left it there for them because, you care for your parents. She decided to take the scenic road home and flew over the field where the human kingdom had grown. At first, and I accidentally typed that as at thirst, she didn't notice much, but then she saw that the river was getting a little smaller. She decided to land for a quick drink before heading home. The sound of hooves fills the air, and a group of knights rode towards her, pointing swords in her direction. She assumed they had been caught by surprise by her sudden appearance. Normally, the humans always leave her alone. "You, dragon!"
Me?
shouted the one at the front. "Are you the dragon who governs this land, who offerings are made?" he demands. "Yes, of course I am," Bailey replied. "I shall be off in a moment." She took a drink from the river and heard the murmurs of the knights. Their voices sounded louder than they thought. She assumed they weren't aware that she could hear them. They sounded confused. "I thought the dragon slayer was supposed to kill the dragon," one of the knights whispered to the other. That's me, by the way. "She was. You don't think the beast ate her, do you?" "I mean, it sucks she couldn't slay the dragon, but it's not like any of us cared. That woman was more work than she was worth anyway. We'll slay the dragon ourselves and become heroes." The knights charged towards Bailey. They didn't make it very far, however, as the moment Bailey looked at the horses, they stopped dead in their tracks. The knights started kicking and screaming at the horses. "Why won't you charge?" one crooked knight yelled at the horse. "All living things born here know that I am the protector of the land. Only you humans seem to have forgotten your place," Bailey said, spreading her wings as she rose above them. "For this assault, I shall destroy your kingdom. You have broken the ancient vow. You have now one day to leave the land before I rain my fire upon your kingdom." "At least you're nice. You're giving them a day."
I give you one chance.
She flew away in a huff, leaving behind the baffled knights below her. The dragon slayer, they had said. Did they mean that annoying human infernos? They must have, she sighed. Raquel greeted her as she always did at the entrance of her cave. "Welcome home, Bailey the dragon," she says with a smile. "Did you have a good time with your family?" "Yes," Bailey hesitates. "The knights of the kingdom attacked me on my way home, though. It seems they want me dead." "Something about a dragon slayer?" Raquel got visibly paler. "Oh no," she was in a big shock. "You're the dragon slayer, aren't you?" Bailey asks. "At least you're blunt and forthcoming." Raquel sighs. "Yes, I suppose I am." She looked at Bailey without fear. "Go on then, eat me."
You've been handling my sheep.
Bailey looked at her curiously. "How are you supposed to kill me?" Then she chuckles. "I mean, you had to have had a better plan than driving me to madness, moving all my stuff around, I hope." Raquel smiles. "Dragons are very predictable creatures. They don't kill without cause. Neither do I." She added as an afterthought and shrugged. "I gained the name Dragon Slayer because I made evil dragons disappear. Really, though, it's other humans I can't stand. I'm a double-crosser. They hired me to kill their dragons, which they claim are a problem, but in reality, I moved to remove the corrupt leaders of the land and help the dragons along the way." "And I'm supposed to believe you," Bailey says, skeptical. "No, but you won't hurt me either." Raquel sits on the cave floor, crosses her legs and her arms, and stares at the dragon. Dragon and girl study each other seriously. "If what you say is true, why not just tell me in the first place?" Bailey asked. Raquel looked guilty for a moment. "I meant to. Once I heard you weren't actually an evil dragon, but, well, I may have gotten a bit distracted." "Distracted?" "Organizing. You have a lot of nice things." Raquel's still looking around at the new piles of bones and jewels Bailey had collected the last few days. "See, I'm really just making you dependent on me." "I see. So you want to organize and clean for me," Bailey asked, confused. "I found it more satisfying than I thought," Raquel admitted, looking carefully into Bailey's golden dragon eyes. "I suppose I should leave now." "You know, Well, it is annoying that you keep putting my things in places I can't find. If you were to leave, I'll never be able to find anything again. Bailey says thoughtfully. She saw a slight smile creep onto Raquel's face. What did you tell the knights? Raquel asked questionably. And that I would destroy the kingdom as punishment, but I gave them a day to leave. That was nice of you, Raquel said, nodding. I suppose we need a plan. Burn it all down was my plan. That seems a bit extreme, Raquel said thoughtfully. If you want to keep receiving offerings, we could just burn down the palace. The rest of the kingdom's people will be grateful for being spared and praise you once more. Now I'm cunning. You humans are sneaky creatures, Bailey said. I suppose I do like the plan of not killing everyone and not having to work for my dinner. Then there's a little time skip. We're almost done. Together, Raquel and Bailey planned out their attack on the castle for the next day, and when morning came, they were ready. Raquel had found some old armor in one of Bailey's many, many piles and used it to cover herself. Are you sure you don't mind me riding on your back? She replied. As long as you don't make it weird, Bailey says. As Raquel struggled to get it to place. Together they took off from the mountain. Bailey heard Raquel screaming as they soared through the air toward the human kingdom. It loomed beneath them in no time. A bright castle at the center of white stone stood out, a shadow leaning across the other small buildings below. An impressive wall surrounded the city. They could see knights cowering on the top. Leave now or be destroyed, Bailey roars from above. They were shouting below. A stream of arrows shot towards them. Bailey blew them away easily with her powerful wings. They have no chance. They flew over the walls, and Bailey released a stream of hot dragon fire straight into the castle, one side of its impressive walls crumbling from her might. People were scurrying and screaming below. Bailey hit the castle once more, and the whole structure collapsed completely. She laughed to herself with how easily human structures could be destroyed. People were fleeing the city now, crowding by the walls, pushing their way past the soldiers at the gate. Bailey landed just outside the main entrance to the city where the citizens were scrambling to find new places to hide. Some merely gave up and bowed before her.
They should bow.
Hear me! Raquel yelled, standing atop Bailey's back. I am Raquel the Dragon Slayer. This dragon does not mean to harm you. Your leaders are corrupt and will happily end your lives for the sake of their money. Please praise the dragon, Bailey, and she will spare you. As planned, the humans started to throw themselves on the ground before the dragon for forgiveness. I will forgive this time. For this human has showed me that your kind are not always as they seem, says Bailey the dragon. We are ever in your debt, great dragon, one human at the front sobs. Remember your offerings. Praise the great dragon, Raquel says once more as Bailey takes off flight again. If this happens again, I will spare none of you, Bailey roars as she flies away. As time passed, the humans continued to give their offerings to the great dragon. Bailey gained a new nickname, the Forgiving One. Raquel moved in with Bailey, acting as her housekeeper. The other dragons and magical beings knew her now as the keeper of the dragon's treasure. The humans, on the other hand, much to Bailey's dismay, referred to Raquel as the Dragon Tamer. The two formed an unlikely friendship built on Bailey's reliance on Raquel's ability to remember where the things were, and Raquel's strong desire to organize. They lived happily ever after in their unusual symbiotic relationship. The end.
Wow.
Told you nothing happens. It was very long.
It was entertaining.
It's entertaining, but nothing happened.
It's entertaining.
I didn't know how to end it. I just wanted to live in your house.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair.
He has a lot of nice things.
I do. A lot of rubies, apparently, and gold.
Yeah, rubies are like your favorite because obviously you're red.
Of course, they're red and shiny.
Yeah, you're very shiny. You're like a crow, but like can breathe fire.
I like that. I like that analogy. I like that a lot.
So that's the story of Bailey the Dragon and how you should let me organize your house.
You already do.
I do, yeah.
She likes to organize my house.
It's fine. You just put things in weird places.
I do. I prefer it that way.
Your turn. I
My
don't want to
turn.
sit here yawning.
Yawn if you can. This is thrilling.
Take a drink of this because now I'm parched.
Okay. I did not name this. It is called Podcast Fanfiction.
Untitled.
Untitled. The forest surrounding Professor Raquel's spire was known as the Whispering Gloom, mostly because Raquel had enchanted the trees to complain about the weather whenever she was in a bad mood. This morning, the oaks were grumbling about a cold front, but their voices were drowned out by a high-pitched shriek echoing from the tower's third-floor kitchen. "It's a conspiracy!" Raquel shouted, throwing a bundle of dried newt tails across the room. Raquel was a short, portly woman who wore capes with collars so high they frequently poked her in the ears. She was the head of Maleficent theory at the Shadow Academy, and her reputation for cruelty was only matched by her obsession with her morning routine. "The silver root," she whispered, her voice trembling. "My spoon, my beautiful, curved, heirloom stirring implement, gone." She checked the dishwasher, a small captured water spirit named Gerald. She checked the pantry, where she kept the forbidden honey. She even checked her familiar's bed, but Barnaby the raven simply croaked and tucked his head under his wing, refusing to be part of the drama. Without her spoon, the tea wouldn't swirl correctly. If the tea didn't swirl correctly, the caffeine wouldn't align with her chakras. And if her chakras weren't aligned, her students were going to have a very, very bad day.
That checks.
Raquel didn't walk to the village. She marched. Her boots left small, scorched footprints in the moss. She burst into the Root and Remedy with such force that the bell above the door flew off its hinges and landed in a basket of dried sage. Judy, the town's only apothecary, and a woman who possessed the patience of a mountain, didn't look up from the vial she was filling. "It's on the floor, Raquel," Judy said calmly. "The spoon?" "The bell. You knocked it off again. That's the third time this month." Raquel ignored the bell. She leaned over the counter, her shadow falling darkly over Judy's workspace. "Judy, I have been robbed. Violated. Someone has bypassed my obsidian wards and stolen the silver root. I suspect the Academy board. They've always been jealous of my cutlery." Judy finally looked up, pushing her spectacles onto her forehead. "Raquel, you lost your glasses on your head 3 times yesterday. Are you sure you didn't just put it somewhere safe while you were sleep casting?" "I am a master of the dark arts, Judy, not a forgetful grandmother," Raquel snapped.
Gosh, that is the best line you've ever written.
"Fine," Judy sighed, untying her apron. "I'll help you look. But if we find it in your pocket, you're buying the next round of elderberry wine." The search lasted hours. They began at the academy, where Raquel insisted on frisking several terrified freshmen. "Open your satchels," Raquel barked at a group of students practicing basic levitation. "If I find my silver spoon in your possession, I will turn your textbooks into aggressive hamsters." The students scrambled away, but no spoon was found. They moved to the Forbidden Grove, then back to the tower. They checked the lost and found dimension, a swirling vortex of single socks and rusted keys, but the silver root was not there. By noon, the sun was high, and Raquel was reaching a level of despair usually reserved for Shakespearean tragedies. "It's gone," Raquel moaned, sitting on the stone steps of her porch. "My authority is stripped. How can I fail a student for lack of precision when I can't even keep track of a utensil?" Judy sat beside her, handing her a piece of enchanted fudge. "Maybe it's a sign, Raquel. Maybe you need a new spoon. A modern one. Plastic, perhaps?" Raquel looked at Judy with such pure horror that the apothecary laughed. "Too soon? All right. Let's walk back to my shop. I think I have a spare brass ladle you can borrow." As they descended the hill, the path narrowed. The tall grass of the meadow swayed in the breeze. Raquel, head bowed in defeat, noticed a rhythmic clink, clink, clink coming from the verge on the road. Suddenly, a flash of white light hit her in the eyes. It was sharp, metallic, and undeniably silver. There! Raquel screamed, diving into the weeds like a hawk. She didn't find a thief. She found a snail. But this was no ordinary gastropod. Resting atop its soft gray body was the bowl of the silver root spoon. The snail had somehow maneuvered itself so the spoon sat like a shimmering armored dome over its back. The long hemlock root handle trailed behind it like a chrome rudder. Aha! The thief! Raquel reached down, but the snail did something unexpected. It didn't retract. It stopped, swiveled its eye stalks towards her, and cleared its throat. Actually, the snail said, its voice sounding like a tiny, very polite squeak, I believe the term you're looking for is refugee. Raquel froze. It speaks. Of course I speak, the snail replied. My name is Bailey, and I must say, your choice in architecture is impeccable. This silver shell has a lovely weight to it. Very reassuring against the local thrush population.
The accent you're giving yourself is amazing.
That shell is my breakfast instrument, Raquel hissed. Give it back this instant, you slimy squatter. Bailey the snail let out a long, wheezing sigh. Madame, do you have any idea what it's like out here? The birds have no respect for the arts. Yesterday, a robin tried to crack me open against a rock. It was harrowing. I found this abandoned on your porch and realized it was indestructible. I was merely seeking a fortress. Judy leaned in, fascinated. She's used it as a shield, Raquel. Look, there are beak marks on the silver. She's been under siege. Raquel looked at the tiny beak-shaped dents in her favorite spoon. Her anger flickered. She respected a good defense. She also respected anything that managed to steal from her and lived to talk about it. You have talent, Bailey, Raquel said, her eyes narrowing, but I want my spoon back. However, I am currently lacking a reliable clerk. My students' letters are constantly being intercepted by the Save the Toads committee because I don't seal them properly. Bailey tilted her eye stalks. Go on. You need a shell. I need a secretary who can produce a high-quality natural adhesive and who isn't afraid of a little dark magic. If you can move into my tower, I will commission the goblins to forge you a real shell made of enchanted titanium. In exchange, you will spend your afternoons sealing my correspondences and filing my F grades. Bailey seemed to consider this. Will there be strawberries? The organic kind? Not the ones grown near the radioactive swamp? Only the finest, Raquel promised. 10 minutes later, Raquel was back in her kitchen, her silver root spoon finally back in her tea. After a very thorough scrubbing, Bailey was perched on a stack of parchment at the end table. She was currently sliding across the flap of an envelope, leaving a perfect shimmering trail of slime that hardened into a seal stronger than any wax. Excellent work, Bailey, Raquel murmured, taking a long, satisfying sip of hemlock tea. Thank you, Professor, Bailey replied, her voice muffled by a piece of high-grade lettuce. And if I may say so, the letter to Mr. Higgins regarding his explosive potion mishap, your phrasing was particularly biting. Bravo, Raquel smiled, a genuine, wicked smile. It was going to be a very productive semester. And then I have written an extra.
I just have some comments.
Okay, do you want to hear the extra first, or do you want to comment?
No, I'll hear the extra first.
Okay, the
It'll
extra.
probably play into my comments.
Yes, this is like a little PS, because I had so much fun. The sun began to dip behind the whispering gloom, casting long purple shadows across Raquel's desk. In the center of the mahogany workspace sat a stack of scrolls that smelled faintly of sulfur and failure. Now, Bailey, Raquel said, dipping her silver root spoon into a fresh mug of tea, let us see if the youth of today have any grasp of the fundamental laws of entropy. First up, Arthur Pringle. She unfurled the messy parchment. A small puff of green smoke drifted out from the ink. Raquel coughed, waving it away with a bony hand. He's tried to write a dissertation on spontaneous toad morphing as a means of travel, Raquel groaned. It's nonsense. He forgot 3-point variable for leg extension. Bailey, have a look. The snail glided across the desk, her silver shell, now polished to a mirror finish, clinking softly against Raquel's inkwell. She paused at the top of she paused at the top of the scroll, eye stalks extending until they were hovering inches from the messy handwriting. "Oh dear," Bailey hummed, her squeaky voice vibrating with disappointment. "He cited the Beginner's Guide to Warts. That was debunked in the 14th century. And look at his penmanship. It's like he dipped a spider in ink and let it have a seizure on the page." Raquel chuckled, a sound like dry leaves skittering across a tombstone. "I was going to give him a D- for effort. What do you think?" Bailey did a slow, thoughtful loop around a particular, egregious spelling error. "Professor, if you give him a D, he will think there is hope. Hope is a dangerous thing for a boy who can't even balance a transmutation equation. If he attempts this spell, he'll end up as a very confused tadpole with human ears. I suggest a solid F, with a footnote regarding his lack of respect for amphibian biology." "You're ruthless, Bailey," Raquel purred, delighted. "I love it." She grabbed her quill, a feather from a very grumpy harpy, and slashed a jagged, glowing red F across the top of the parchment. "Next," she said, pulling a scroll that was vibrating and making a faint sobbing noise. "Miss Alara Vance, she attempted a lullaby of eternal slumber. She submitted it as a music box." Bailey glided over to the tiny wooden box. She tapped it with an eye stalk. The box let out a mournful plink and a cloud of glitter. "It's pink," Bailey noted, her voice dripping with aristocratic disdain. "And it smells like strawberries. Professor, I am a snail of the world, and even I know that eternal slumber should at least smell like damp earth or ancient dust. This is afternoon nap at best." "Agreed," Raquel said, her spoon clinking rhythmically against her mug. "It's derivative, it's sentimental, and it's far too sparkly for my classroom." "Perhaps," Bailey suggested, "we should tell her that if she wants to put someone to sleep forever, she should try reading her own introduction aloud. It's 12 pages of fluff about her cat." Raquel laughed so hard she nearly dropped her tea. "Bailey, you are a treasure. Why did I ever bother with human teaching assistants? They always complained about the safety hazards and the lack of a dental plan. I require only lettuce and the occasional compliment on my shine," Bailey replied, already sliding toward the edge of the next envelope to apply the seal. "Now, shall we move on to Mr. Diggory's essay? I believe he's accidentally crushed the margin and is currently trying to eat my tail." Raquel squinted at the paper. Sure enough, the edge of the parchment was sprouting tiny paper teeth. "Don't worry, Bailey," Raquel said, reaching for a heavy paperweight shaped like skull. "I'll handle the biting. You just keep the glue coming. We have 30 more failures to get through before midnight." The witch and the snail worked on into the night, the only sound in the tower being the scratching of a quill, the soft thwack of an F stamp, and the contented silver chime of a spoon against a cup.
Very nice, very nice.
There you go, that's your story.
You like it?
I did too.
Very nice, very short.
I enjoyed
You
it.
could have
yes.
made it longer.
I probably could have, but I wanted to keep it short
Fair.
and concise.
I did not do that.
I
go all the way.
You went all the way.
Did you notice that we both turned you into some sort of magical creature?
I did.
And that I'm a human-like being in both of them?
Yes.
And that you're fully motivated just by food?
Yes.
I think these say a lot about our friendship right here. You're like, okay, and here I'm giving you sheep, and you're like, strawberries.
Strawberries and lettuce.
And it's just me bribing you with food to do things.
And I do.
And there's also calling me out on my OCD a little bit in both.
A little bit. A little bit.
It's kind of scary how similar we made ourselves in this story. Something completely different.
I think it just means that we know ourselves well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food motivated OCD organizer.
Yeah.
Oops.
They were good, though. I quite enjoyed our
This was
stories.
fun. We should do this again.
We should. Let us know if you want more fan fiction. Do you want to hear more about the witch and the snail or the dragon and
I can write more. I can give you a whole tale about what you're doing at your parents' house.
I could also write more. I thoroughly enjoyed writing you as a evil witch
Truckety
professor
old lady.
and me as your snail companion. That is the end of today's episode. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.